Hey guys, I'm the Mama J, and today I thought I would do a fish room tour for March 2018. I'm going to take you up close with each of my betta tanks, show you some of the aquascaping that I've changed over the last few months, and maybe introduce you to a few new faces you haven't seen before. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you and tell you that this is a channel where I share my passion for reptiles, amphibians, and betta fish, and I hope that you'll consider subscribing. So let's get started on that tour now. The first fish I want to share with you is Flame. Now, Flame is my long-finned koi betta that I first introduced to you in my planted tank video. Now, he was one that I bought at one of our local aquarium stores, and you can see by his striking colors why he absolutely grabbed my eye. Now, Flame has colored up much more since I brought him home. The reds have become much brighter and the black spots much more prominent on his face. And I'm tickled that the whites have stayed consistent on his fins because I think it makes such a nice contrast of color between the red and the black. As far as any changes in his tank, I started out initially with a couple of cryptocorin plants and one large anubias. The plants have grown well enough to where I've been able to divide them and use portions of them in other tanks. Another change that I did was to add a piece of driftwood instead of the river rocks. And I think it tied the tank together a lot better, plus allowed for some more visual interest. And if you'll see up at the top, I have a little bit of floating water sprite. And I love that because it provides some additional hides or perching areas. But Flame is doing really well, and he has been such a nice fish to have in the fish room. This next little girl is Pumpkin. Now, she is the cutest with her little sassy personality and puckered upturned lips. She's also a koi betta, but I found her at Petco one day. Pumpkin has done great. She's in a 10-gallon community tank with some brass and neon tetras. They all really get along quite well, and it has been one of my favorite community tanks to be able to watch. For substrate, I have used the Eco Complete and also added some dragonstone for hardscape, and I really love the look of this stone because I think it has really interesting textures and lines and makes a good focal point. The plants are Amazon sword, cryptocorin, some hygrophila, anubias, and of course a lot of duckweed that I seem to grow really well. Pumpkin has a aqua clear 20-gallon filter and a high door adjustable heater. Now, I love these heaters and use them in all of my tanks. And in fact, if you're looking for a really good adjustable heater, I highly recommend these. So I'll put the link down in the description just in case you're interested in any of the equipment I use. But I have really enjoyed Pumpkin. She loves to be the center of attention, and she'll shake those little tail fins around and peek out between the plants to kind of get some additional treats sometimes. But with those beautiful orange colors, she's really a standout in the tank. Next up is Blaze. Now, I bet you can guess how he got his name from those long red crown tail fins. But Blaze is one of my rescue fish. I found him at a local pet store here, really kind of in pretty sad condition, but by treating him for some fin rot and some high ammonia levels, he's really turned around quite nicely for me. His fins look much better now, but he does have a defect in his anal fin. In fact, at first I thought he might be biting, but he literally just has like a curvature defect into the fin itself. It doesn't seem to bother him at all, and I really don't notice it as he zips around the tank. Overall, he's really a happy boy, and he's done so well in this 5.5-gallon tank. Now, for his plants, he has also some cryptocorin, hygrophila, a little bit of rotala thrown in behind the driftwood there. And I've been running a sponge filter for him since he's had some fin issues. To me, it's really helpful to be able to control your current when you're working to try to get some fin regrowth going. But I really enjoy Blaze. He just tickles me. He has a very curious little nature and really a joy for life. Our next boy is Freedom. Now, this is probably a familiar face if you've seen some of my prior videos. Freedom is a Walmart boy, and I went there to get him shortly after Chance passed away because I really wanted to give another Walmart fish a chance at a good home. Now, he was a clamped, pale, scared little juvenile that looked so alone in that cup. But those big eyes looked up at me, and that just stole my heart. Now, interesting enough, Freedom was a very pale turquoise blue when I first got him. But with some warm water in a nice tank, his colors just exploded. The reds came out more, and now he has those beautiful purple hues. Now, as far as tail types, veil tails are a very common beta that you see, but I still get wowed by them. I love the look of how their fins resemble like a ribbon flowing through the water when they're swimming. And I have done a few changes in his tank. I ended up flipping his cola wood upside down, and it gave it a totally different look. It just shows how changing things up occasionally can keep things interesting, not only for you, but for your beta. The next fish I want to share with you is Phil. Now, Phil was a lucky find at our local aquarium store here in town, and oh, was he ever the wow of a fish when I first saw him. Now, my intentions that day was to spend my fish credit I had and get a few more community fish for some of my larger tanks, but I looked through all their displays that day, and I just couldn't find what I wanted. So, you know me, I had to walk by the beta display, and that did it for me. You know, I saw this guy and my mouth dropped open, and I'm just totally taken back by his stunning colors. You know, he has this beautiful black face and shades of green and teal blue. Oh, wow, I just thought he is so beautiful. Of course, I couldn't get to the register fast enough with him. You know, fish credit, beautiful beta. Yeah, that's a no-brainer for me. Now, I ended up setting up my 6-gallon Fluval tank for him. And I love this tank, but it does have some challenges as far as cleaning and aeration. So I decided to use one of my corner filters this time and drop my surface water level a little bit. And I keep the screen top off most of the time. Now, that's really helped me as far as keeping a better oxygen flow to the tank. And of course, adding some natural plants really help quite a bit as well. Now, Phil has been a dream fish for me. His blues and greens have brightened up so much more, and he really seems delighted with his new tank. Oh, and he got his name from the Philadelphia Eagles. Two things that were super this year. I would now like for you to meet Finley Ray. Now, Finley is one of my half-moon elephant ear betas, and I got him during one of my Nashville trips where I was visiting my son. Now, he knows my passion for helping betas in tough conditions, so one day he said, "Mom, I'd really like to get a beta for you, that maybe one that needs a little extra TLC or extra care." So I was so touched by his heart that off we went to the fish store. So as I looked through all of the betas there, you know, there's always ones that need a lot of extra TLC, but this little guy just kept fluttering around, and he really caught my eye. Now, he looked reasonably healthy, but as I looked closer, I realized he had a huge deformity on his back and no dorsal fin. He literally only had one ray there. So I took him over to the store manager and talked with him about it. Since the fish had a deformity and was going to be difficult to sell, I ended up getting him for a very cheap price. But in my mind, there was no question that this was the fish that I was meant to have. And it was so special that my son got him for me. Now, Finley has really thrived since he's gotten home. He's in a 10-gallon paradise tank, as I call it, with that amazing banana plant. He's not hindered swimming by the defect, but I can tell he does tire out a bit quicker than some of my other fish. Now, Finley also has a cataract in his right eye, but even with his special needs, I think his beauty just shines through as he flutters those little pectoral fins around. Now, recently I added a bristlenose placo to the tank, and the two of them seem to get along fine. But Finley doesn't mind to remind Mr. Placo on occasion who is the boss of the tank. Now, I love that about bettas. I am beautiful, but I am the boss. So Finley is such a joy to me, and it is a reminder you don't have to be perfect to make a big impact on the world. Next to Finley is Titan. Now, Titan is another really beautiful half-moon betta. Now, when I first got him, he had some more distinct butterfly patterns of red, white, and blue, but now those dominant blues are really shining through. He can have the most amazing flares. I really enjoy watching him swim in the tank. Now, I recently upgraded him to a 10-gallon tank with 6 Cory catfish, and he takes his management job very seriously. After all, it's important to corral that shoal of catfish. It's so much fun watching them interact in the evening. The catfish are scurrying around for food pellets, and Titan is, of course, trying to figure out how to swoop in and steal a bite of food without them noticing. Of course, it's not like he's not well fed, but, that's another funny betta quality that you see in a community tank. My food is mine, your food is mine, and did I mention this tank is mine? So if anyone ever says a fish doesn't have personality, they simply have never met a betta fish. His tank has a great Amazon sword plant, some Kambaba, some hygrophila, a little water sprite, and I also have a nice little crop of Malaysian trumpet snails in there. But in this case, I have used just a sand substrate, but I do supplement all of my plants with the Osmocote root tabs, and that seems to work really well. And Titan has been a great fish for me. I really have enjoyed him and his tank mates. My latest addition is Tide. Now, Tide is also a rescue fish for me, and I saw him at Walmart one day when I was shopping with my daughter. It is so frustrating to me to find fish in this condition because it really does not have to be this way. This guy was a young juvenile. His water was awful. He was slumped over the side of his cup with fin issues, a swim bladder disorder, and not to mention he was extremely weak. Now, when I saw him, his eyes just looked up at me with such desperation. So here I go with fish in hand again. Now, that first night, I was extremely concerned about him. It was very touch and go, in my opinion. He just laid on the bottom of the tank. He would just barely hold his head up. And I could see it was a real struggle for him just to swim for air. So one thing I did was to give him a methylene blue bath when he first came home, and that helps treat for ammonia poisoning. And I also added some Epsom salt, and that helps tremendously with swim bladder issues. So with some warm, clean water and some little Indian almond leaves, he really started improving. He could swim a little more, but it took a while for him to be able to hold himself up in the water correctly. But again, by doing daily water changes, he started getting stronger each day. I am so pleased with this guy's progress. He's such an incredible boy. He flares all the time. He's one of my most social fish, and he really loves interaction with me and swims around with such joy. Now, funny enough, he got his name from laundry detergent of all things. As I was looking through the fish that day, my daughter said, "Hey, Mom, you should name a fish Tide." And I thought, oh, that's a really cute idea. I was thinking Ocean Tide or, the Crimson Tide from Alabama. And as I looked over, she held up a bottle of Tide detergent that had gotten stuck in the fish aisle. And so the name just stuck with me. Now, thankfully for this boy, I think the tide is turning in a good way, though. I am so blessed to have him as one of my boys. Hey guys, it's Mama J. I just want to thank you so much for watching the fish room tour, and it is a joy and a privilege to share my animals with you. And I'm here with my best buddy,
as you know, Brycey B.
Brycey B. So thank you guys so much for watching.
And never miss a video.
What do they need to do that?
Hit the bell icon.
The bell icon and like and subscribe. Bye guys.